Anti-government protesters clashed with police, blocked roads and started fires. Others were met with water cannons and tear gas in rallies across the country into the deepening inequality in France.
Dramatic images this week in France of people-led protests against the government over a massive debt crisis in the country.
The French government has collapsed.
France is boiling again, streets turned into battlegrounds, barricades lit up in flames, and thousands marching under a single banner. Block everything.
So, France just collapsed, or is collapsing, depending on who you ask. The government is in shambles, economy in free fall, and yet, across the Atlantic, people are already trying to make it about themselves. Candace Owens even suggested that the fall of the French government somehow had something to do with her.
I believe that this investigation would lead us to this moment, and I am not even referring to the lawsuit. I'm referring to something much bigger. Foremost, I should let you guys know that it was announced just 3 hours ago that the French government has collapsed. Oh, okay. Yeah, there it is. New York Times. French government collapses again, deepening paralysis. But I don't want you guys to get distracted because I think it is sort of a distraction a little bit. They don't want you watching Becoming Brigitte Season 2. I personally think Emmanuel Macron wants out. No, instead, they're telling the French people, take to the streets. I hope by now you guys realize that these decisions, like who is going to be president and when, those decisions are actually made in a boardroom.
Hell no. Listen, no shade, girl. But if there is one thing that history proves, it's that France doesn't need anyone's help when it comes to imploding. They've been perfecting that act for centuries. And this time, the crash is spectacular. Bravo, France. Encore. Look at the reasons for this. A mountain of debt so high it crashes the sky. Public trust in government circling the drain. Protests that never really end, just your standard Tuesday strikes. And inflation growling at people's wallets like a hungry Parisian pigeon. Meanwhile, politicians make promises that even a meme wouldn't bother acting out. It's not about imported chaos. It's pure, artisanal, homegrown French collapse. So here's the deal. If you are listening from abroad, watch, comment, debate, and maybe avoid volunteering your opinions unless you fancy a baguette to your face. And if you are French, step forward, okay? Tell me, what do you think is the biggest reason for the spectacular fall? The debt, the strikes, the political theater, or just a century-long tradition of dramatic flair that somehow never goes out of style? Let us know in the comment section. Nobody will know what is happening to France than real French. Section 1. The debt that keeps on giving. Let's start with money. France's national debt is so high it could reach the moon twice with a little luck. And it's not like this happened overnight. Decades of borrowing, spending, and promising it will fix it later have finally caught up with them. You know how that ex kept lying and lying and lying and forgot that someday some of the lies will catch up with them. Yeah, finally, the chickens came home to roost. Picture a tower of croissants stacked so high it's toppled over. The smell of defeat is unmistakable. Oui, à la poubelle. Let's look at section 2. The trust in government is as absent as peace in American schools. Public trust in French politicians is now roughly equivalent to trusting a meme to explain quantum physics. Scandals, corruption, flip-flopping on policies is a veritable buffet of disappointment. And you know who is at the top of that buffet of disappointment? The president, Emmanuel Macron. Can you believe that he is in the midst of a crop? Ooh, Jesus Christ. Now I see why Candace Owens thought that she had something to do with it. She has Emmanuel Macron by the baguette.
That it was announced just 3 hours ago that the French government has collapsed. Oh, okay. Yeah, there it is. New York Times. French government collapses again, deepening paralysis. But I don't want you guys to get distracted because I think it is sort of a distraction a little bit. They don't want you watching Becoming Brigitte Season 2. I personally think Emmanuel Macron wants out.
I don't want to use the word because if I use it, it will now feel like I am trying to make fun of the president because people are saying that his husband, his wife, whoever, it depends on who you're listening to, is a man who changed to a woman. And also Emmanuel Macron was 15 when they met. You know, the stories are too many. Let's leave it there. Okay? Even the prime ministers, they keep repeating, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. They have not stopped rinsing and repeating them. Let's go to section 3, strikes, protests, and other national pastimes. Ah, the French strike. Truly the national sport. Don't like a policy? Strike. Gas prices too high? Strike. Bread a little too crusty? Strike. International observers gasp. But remember, it's France. The revolution never really ended. It just takes a coffee break between riots, okay? But now, like I've said, all of you who are international viewers, please back down, step behind. This is not for you. Unless you're willing to stop eating croissants. I know many of you love your croissants. We would not like you to throw it à la poubelle. Let's go to section 4, the economy, inflation, and pigeons everywhere. Meanwhile, the economy limps along. Inflation bites like a disgruntled cafe rat, and unemployment stubbornly refuses to cooperate. Ordinary people feel like the squeeze and then look up to see politicians promising everything while doing very little or nothing, depending on who you ask in France. So what can we do? Section 5.